maybe like 10, 10, 15 minutes, for people to start coming in. But I mean, you know this. I mean, you've been here before, but it's been a while, man. It's been a while since I've done a podcast. So the last podcast I had was with Chariot Men Gaming, and after that, I hadn't even published a video. Like I made a comeback literally yesterday with that video that I published, and that was it. But I'm gonna try to keep this week is going to be cool though. This week is gonna be cool because I almost have content for almost every single day. Like I have content, like I had content for yesterday. Today we got the podcast. Tomorrow I'm planning to at least have a video. Like I said, I can't promise anything, but I'm planning to have that. I'm planning to have something for Thursday, for Friday as well. Man, it's gonna be hard to keep up, but I really want to do what you're doing. I really do, because I mean it is paying off for you in a way. So I really want to give that a shot, man. I don't know, how do you do it, because your job is so different than mine. My job, I can take any day off that I want to take off. But the truth is that I mean, should I do it? That's the thing. That's the question. No, man, because we got so many jobs, and basically what I do, like I own my own business, right? So it's like I always need to be on top of things, on how things are working, right? So that's the problem. That's the main problem. That's why I gotta I don't take as much time off, because I have to supervise, especially when it's like home improvement. I mean, you work for a company, kind of doing the same thing as I'm doing, right? It's a community, but you still kind of do, like carpentries, all those type of things. And are you the super? I forgot. Did you tell me?
Yeah, I'm a supervisor.
You're the supervisors. You have to be on top of your people.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. It's kind of the same thing. I gotta be on top. I gotta let people know what's up. I gotta let people, I gotta let people know. I gotta let people be on top of people, see what they do, see how how they're working and stuff like that. If not, I'm gonna get calls. And there have been occasions in which I've gone to vacations and stuff like that, and I get called by either the house owner or the company that we're doing the jobs for, and it's a pain in the butt, man. It's a pain in the butt when that happens a whole lot. So as of right now, we don't have almost any viewer. We got two.
Yeah, we got two viewers. Yep.
Oh yeah, we got two people. And we got Marnelli Abian. See, I said her name right this time. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for coming by. I'm surprised you're even here. Aren't you supposed to be at work, Missy? Well, and we also have Treasy Knapp, my boy from Norfolk, Virginia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gonna give a couple of minutes just to see if some more people do come in. If we have a low crowd today, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I have been absent, so it is what it is. Hopefully they'll catch the how do you call that, the replay after the replay, is that how you call it, after?
Yeah, the replay
basically. Yeah, so man, but yeah, man, do you have any strategies, man, for me to be doing what you're doing, like uploading every day? Like, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, do a lot of work. No, I would say try to think outside of the box. Like, try to think of different ways where you can, maybe you're not filming every day, maybe you're also recording, but even when you're on your off time, try thinking in your head what would be a good, idea for a video. And I would say while you're there, while you're doing whatever you're doing throughout the day, try to map out what exactly you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And which I'm sure you already do that, but in this case, if you're trying to do like 30 videos in 30 days, you're going to have to do that a lot more,
Gotcha. Yeah, but I mean, like, see, the crazy thing is, are you? I guess the question I have for you is, are you running out of ideas at all? Like, or do you
No,
still have? No, not at
not at
all.
all. It's actually like I said, it's grown. I have more ideas than ever now. And it's because you're actually sitting there and you're thinking. And once you start moving, it's like, it's the momentum that you have. You just keep going and going and going, and you just start looking at different things with different angles and saying, well, I could do a video this way, and I could extend it a little bit and still make it a worthwhile video for whoever's watching to look. I just think it's like everything in life. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And if you do like it, just even if it's in a small amount of time, if you're doing so much of the same thing, you're gonna get better at it.
It's kind of like I don't know if this has happened to you. I know that you and I have spoken before about workouts and stuff like that. But it's kind of like when you work out. When you work out one day, you kind of break through and you want to keep doing it because you feel good about yourself. You feel like for example, when there was one time that I just stopped working out. I didn't work out. I didn't do anything. I just kept eating like a pig, and I got pretty fat. But once I went and hit the gym, did a lot of carbs, burned like I don't know, like 1,000 calories on a bike. Crazy, man. I was sweating like crazy, and I felt so good about myself that it motivated me to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it every single day. So I guess maybe it's something like that.
Yeah, and also it takes like I don't know where I read this, but it takes like 2 weeks for you to form a habit. So if you do something, whatever it is, for 2 weeks, after that, it almost comes like second nature. So you don't have to worry about like trying to will yourself to do it. You're already automatically doing it. And I
Yeah,
think with like content creation, it's kind of the same thing. Your body, your mind is already going to the creative parts of your mind, especially after like doing it, 2 weeks in a row. It's like you're already like, oh, this week, this day I could do this. Next day I could do that.
yeah,
So
yeah. Tracy says that the Breath of the Wild towers in real life idea was dope.
oh yeah. Oh, thank you, man. I I have to give you that credit because if I wouldn't have seen your videos, I wouldn't have thought of that. Because I did, and I got to be honest, and I did think about that when I first played Breath of the Wild. And I got because I never played. I guess that they got that also kind of got that idea from a Far Cry 3. I never played that game, so I don't know how similar, but I've heard that it's kind of similar. Have you ever played Far Cry 3?
No, I was not aware that they actually took that idea from.
That's what people say. I've never looked into it myself. The closest thing that I could get to it besides that would be maybe that game for the for the Xbox 360. That was the Saboteur. Did you ever play that?
Yeah,
The Saboteur. That was kind of like that. Remember how you used to unlock the city from the Nazi regime, and you would go up in the towers, and kind of similar. But you would blow up the towers. So that wasn't like it at all. Sorry, it's the opposite. So I don't know, how close that far. I've never played it. So the first time that I played Breath of the Wild, that's where my mind went to was, oh, this is kind of like the towers back at home. You could go up and get a cool view of the area around you.
mm.
But I never thought of how to put that in a video. I just thought, man, that's really cool. But it's when I saw you, I'm like, hey, that would be a good idea.
But see, what I like about your video is that you show you show the areas that you were walking, like you filmed it, and then you also show like the actual game, like the similarities between areas. I mean, of course, Breath of the Wild, the environment and everything, the land, it wasn't based on Florida, where you live or anything like that. But I thought it was pretty interesting when you film what was around you and when you show the small sections of Breath of the Wild, because honestly, they kind of do look similar in a way, you know.
Yeah, well, that's, and also like, and as I finished the YouTube clip, whatever movie, I was uploading it, and then I started to write the description, and I was writing the description. I'm like, I should have put this stuff in the video, but like Shigeru Miyamoto's inspiration for Breath of the Wild, or for Zelda in general, was when he was a young boy and he was exploring Japan, you know, and he would go and he would discover different things, and I'm like, it's very similar. It all kind of like goes together, you know, and because anywhere where you live, you could find some kind of beauty in nature, you know, and you could find something that you didn't know. You could be living somewhere for years, and then you look, you know, you turn a corner and you see, well, I've never seen this before, and it's a nice pond, or like some set of caves, or whatever. And I don't know, I just thought that was pretty neat. So
yeah, well, it was a good video, man. Andres Restart is joining us. Hey, Andres, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing fine. We got an appointment on Wednesday night. Nah, I'm messing with you. Nah, man. I'm glad that you are here, man. I'm glad that you're here. There's a couple people, 4 viewers at the moment. I think we're just gonna go ahead and start with that. I didn't expect a lot of people to be here anyways, because, you know, because of my long absence. So it's understandable. But for those of you, man, it's been 2 weeks, man. I mean,
that's years in YouTube land.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. You know, especially with this algorithm thing. Yeah, that's a long time, man. I should have not done that. But anyways, so we're gonna have thank you for those of you who are watching us right now, guys. Coloco and myself, we're gonna have a little debate on the Nintendo Switch's future. We were talking about this we message through WhatsApp every now and then, and
Coloco, the DMs,
yeah. So, you know, we were talking about this, I think like around 2 days ago or something like that, and Coloco came up with the idea of making it a debate. I proceed with it. So if you're coming in here, but I want to mention a couple of things first. If you're coming in here to try to see a debate where we are going to be treating each other like Nintendo Prime, like, oh no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You shouldn't be saying this. Are you understanding what I'm telling you? No, you're in the wrong place, because you're not gonna see that. You're not gonna see that type of behavior here. It's just kind of like a friendly, you know, debate and all that, and all those type of things. We're also, another thing is that I want to remind you guys that the Super Smash Brothers Ultimate giveaway, it's still going on. The last day is going to be on the 4th of December. So right now it's still going on, and for you to participate in it, it's very simple. Subscribe to me, subscribe to Nintendogametalk. I'm going to have his channel in the description of this live stream. So go ahead and check him out. Follow us on Twitter as well, and just be on the Cabana Podcast on the 4th of December, because that's when we are going to reveal who the winner is. Of course, I want to thank, like I've always been stating, I want to thank the Collectionist on Twitter. I'm also going to leave his Twitter account on the description below, so you guys can go ahead and follow him as well. He was the one who sponsored this. So if it wasn't for him, we couldn't have been doing this joint giveaway. So thank you very much, Collectionist. Guys, I really hope you go ahead and participate on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so Nintendo's future. So as I said, Coloco and I were talking about this. We were talking about the possibilities of what could happen when the PlayStation 5 does come out. If the PlayStation 5 does turn out to be kind of like a Switch type of system. A lot of fans are calling it the PlayStation 5 swap, or whatever they're calling it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and leave and let Coloco start first, because I'm gonna keep on going for a whole hour talking. So what's your point of view on that? How do you see Nintendo when Sony decides to reveal the PlayStation 5?
Well, I still don't like the idea of a Nintendo Switch Pro. I think it's unnecessary. I really do personally. I know a lot of people are excited for it, even though nothing's been confirmed yet. But however, I have changed my thoughts a little bit in the sense that it's all about momentum. It's all about maintaining momentum, because that's exactly what the Wii U didn't have and what the Wii lost. The Wii had all this incredible momentum from the beginning, and then it fizzled out like completely. And then the Wii U never had, initially it sold well for the first month or whatever, and then it never maintained anything, never maintained momentum. And that's what Nintendo has. I think that's what they have number one in mind with the Switch, is to maintain that momentum. So when we get in 2020, when the PS5 is going to be supposedly released, because that's what's been reported, that the PS5 will be releasing between March of 2020 and November, right? I'm thinking that's when Nintendo might release a Switch Pro. Is that the same time that the PS5 comes out, or a little bit before, a little bit after, but almost to match that momentum? So what we really disagreed on was that I think that Sony could be coming out with a hybrid device. Mm-hmm. And you think that there's no way. And that's what we kind of disagreed on. I think that, in my opinion, a PS5 will not have the same momentum that a PS4 had. I don't think that people will jump on it as much as they did on the PS4. There's a lot of reasons for that, but I just don't think companies can think like that anymore. Let's get a bigger box. Let's get a stronger box to put in your living room. Not when there's options like the Nintendo Switch. Not when there's options like cell phones that they're getting better graphically. Not only that, but that you have like Google, I don't know what you call it, but whatever that system is where you could play video games on your cell phone now, like that you could stream it to your cell phone. I don't think that like Sony and Xbox cannot think like that. You already see Xbox doing weird stuff. They're just doing weird stuff. I don't even know what Xbox is doing. They're just doing everything very strange. But you could tell they can't think the same way. That's what I think anyway.
Okay. Well, I don't disagree. How do I say it? I'm not saying that Sony is not. I'm not saying that it's impossible for what I disagreed with is the idea that if Sony does releases a PlayStation 5 Switch, whatever you want to call it, PlayStation Swap, how people want to call it, I'm not disagreeing with the idea of them doing it. I mean, there's a high possibility that they're doing it. What I don't think is that this will affect the Switch in any way. Whether Nintendo releases a Switch Pro or just keeps the regular Nintendo Switch. By the way, I have to say this. I hate, and I'm not saying this because of you, because you didn't create this. You didn't create the words Switch Pro. It wasn't you who came up with that. But I hate that term, because when you say something like that, like a Switch Pro, it almost makes it feel like it's a revision, that it's like one step, like a huge step forward to the regular Nintendo Switch. Like, I don't know.
Like 4K, like regular PS4 to 4K, output, just like the Xbox One X. Yeah.
I don't. First off, if they're gonna release a revision of the Nintendo Switch, which they will, I'm pretty sure they will, because Nintendo has released revisions for almost all their systems. I don't think it's gonna be that powerful to call it the Switch Pro. I think it's just gonna be a revision, but it's going to be something like the 3DS to the new Nintendo 3DS. You know what I mean? I don't think it's gonna be like that different in power. I hope I'm wrong, by the way, because if it is, I'm spending my money on that. I really want to spend my money on that if it turns out to be true, but I don't think so. And the reason why I think that, it's because because of previous history. You know, every time Nintendo has released a revision of whatever system, whether it's the DS, the 3DS, the Wii. Oh, well, the Wii was just in Canada though. But anyways,
No, was it? I thought it was a smaller Wii.
Yeah, was that in Canada or was
I don't
it?
know. I know somebody here that has one. It's like a Wii Mini or something like that.
Yeah, I'm wrong. It is here. I saw it in stores. What am I talking about? Yeah, when you have revisions, when Nintendo has released their revisions, it always had improvement, but not something that'll take it like a huge step forward. You know what I mean? So will it have more power than Nintendo Switch Pro? I'm pretty sure it will, but it wouldn't be anything that would. It wouldn't be like 4K. It wouldn't be like that forward. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. Now, when it comes to like Sony releasing a PS5 Switch, I'm just gonna call it PS5 Switch. It could happen. Do I think it's a good idea for them to do it? No, I don't think it's a good idea for them to do it. Why? Well, if they release a Sony PlayStation 5 Switch, if they release that, I think a lot of it is going to what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that it's going to be a similar situation to the Nintendo 3DS. What do I mean by that? Well, the Nintendo Switch, obviously, is a hybrid system. And from what we can see, the Nintendo Switch has a lot of trust when it comes to developers. I mean, it's getting all that trust. Like the Japanese developers are on board. And as time goes by, we're going to get more Japanese developers on board. Some Western developers are interested in the console, but they're not necessarily on board. And we're not going to get every Western third party over there, on the Nintendo Switch. I'm aware of that. However, I do think that we are going to have a lot of support from other developers, whether it's Japanese and indie developers, and a lot of other developers that are not, maybe a couple Western developers. But there's going to be a lot of developer trust. There's going to be already a lot of consumer trust. The price point of the Nintendo Switch, I'm pretty sure, knowing Sony, I'm pretty sure is going to be way lower than a Sony PlayStation 5 Switch. And there's other factors that count in that could, mess up Sony. So
okay, but the price thing, I would throw that out the window because PlayStation 4 is way more expensive and it's the best-selling console. And people are buying PS4 Pros and people are buying Xbox One X's. So I don't think that when it comes to that, Sony is a premium brand. They'll pay, their customers are used to paying a premium price. So I don't think price is an issue. I really don't. I don't think that if a PS4 like a swap or whatever came out and it was $450, let's say, and I'm just throwing stuff out. I'm just throwing a bunch of caca out there. So don't just, it's just hypothetical caca. Okay. So like, let's just say it's $450. Let's just say that it's more powerful or just as powerful as a PS4 Pro, right? $450, and it's a hybrid. I think that's a great price. Not for me, but for Sony fans. I think people will buy into that if that's the case. Now, if it's, I don't know if it's 500. I think that might be too much. But I don't think it doesn't have to be that expensive.
But see, you mentioned something very interesting. You don't think the price is going to be an issue, because PS4 is still selling. But there's a couple of things with that I think that you need to, when it comes to that, that maybe you haven't seen yet, and that's the fact that PlayStation 5 is still selling a lot because it's not. I mean, PlayStation 4. I'm sorry. PlayStation 4 is selling a lot because it's not really competing with Switch. You know, head to head. It's not bumping
But
head.
it is. It's not, but it is. It's not, but it is. Because
I mean,
even last year, December, the one of the representatives of Sony was in an interview, and he was asked about will they hit certain amount of projected sales, and he said, well, there's certain things that are kind of in the way right now. I don't know if you remember, but last year there was some chips that were scarce in the industry, and they couldn't keep up with the supply, with the demand. They couldn't keep up their supply for the demand. He said that, and he also said, well, the other thing we got to think about is the Nintendo Switch. That's a big issue right now. So that's one of the, it was like the head of Sony or something admitting that sales are being affected by the Switch, because even though you're not competing, and yes, it's a blue ocean strategy, I understand all that, but in the end is entertainment. At the end, it's video games, and at the end, a consumer only has so much money to buy for video games. You can't just go around. I wish you could, but you can't just go around buying everything that you want. You have to sometimes choose. And when you have kids and you have a choice between a PS4 and a Switch, sometimes the Switch is a better option. And other times it's, the PS4 is a better option. Some people don't have the option to get both. So even though, like you said, you're not competing head to head, because obviously there's some games that the crowd that plays PS4, the majority play games, adult themed games, right? At least a big chunk of it. Not so much for the Switch. It's more oriented towards family, even though it does have some adult games. So there is a difference in the base there, but in the end, it's all going to the same wallet, to the consumer's wallet.
right. I understand that, and I understand that it is entertainment. I mean, at the end of the day, they are competing, and that's something that I've always disagreed with Nintendo, because I always see Reggie Fils-Aimé saying, "Oh, we're not really competing with Microsoft and Sony," but you are. They are competing in the sense that they are both, they both make games and they both make hardware. I mean, yeah, of course, but what I mean is in the product, you know yeah, sure, Sony is making entertainment, they're making video games just like Nintendo is, but at the end of the day, they kind of not are competing, in the sense that they're not providing a system that is equal to the Nintendo Switch. So even if they see it as a menace, because I mean, I remember the article that you mentioned about, I don't know, it was one of Sony's head saying that the Nintendo Switch was something to be worried about. They're not necessarily competing, product wise. If Nintendo, let's say for example, if they would have been, if the PS4 would have been some sort of PlayStation Switch or something like that, I feel that they would have been competing straight up, and that would have been an issue for Sony. And if they do come out with a PlayStation 5 Switch or whatever they decide to come up with, I do think that I do think that it would affect it in certain way, a lot of ways, because you have to. The way I think about it, I think that it would be another 3DS situation, because the 3DS, of course you remember this, the 3DS came out. It did pretty bad at first, but then they cut the price of it and it started doing good and all of that. Then Sony came out with this, because Sony has always been mostly about power, and that's what their fans like the most, and that's what they have committed themselves to give fans. Very powerful systems. that fans can enjoy, the ultimate experience of games. That's what they've always wanted to do. I mean, in this generation, the Xbox One X is the most powerful console, but you know what I mean. That's been mostly what Sony has been doing, especially on the PS3 era, and of course the PS4 and the PS4 era. They're trying, but Xbox, as far as power, it is more powerful. But I do think that if they're going to make a more powerful, if they're going to make a PS5 Switch, they will more than likely make it more superior. This is just me assuming. They will more than likely make it more powerful to try to please, Sony fans, because you know very well that Sony fans mostly are about power. That's a very important factor for them. They're probably going to make it more powerful. They more than likely are going to make it similar to the Nintendo Switch with more power. Who knows, this RAM and technical crap. I'm not very familiar with. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not familiar with the technicality of any system or anything like that. But by history, we've known that Sony, it has always tried to go a step forward for what Nintendo does. So who are we to say that Sony will release something? You know what I mean? PlayStation 5 Switch, and will not charge more. And Nintendo will already be out there with all these developers that are jumping into this Nintendo Switch, whether it's indie, third parties, and Nintendo IPs themselves. All this game library, the games libraries that Nintendo will have, by the time that this PlayStation 5 Switch, if releases, if it does come out, there's so many things that really makes me think, if PlayStation decides to go and do a hybrid system, they're just going to be getting the rope ready in order to hang themselves up. Because
I don't think so. First of all, let me talk about something that Andre said. He said the PS5 implies more power than PS4 Pro. I really don't. I'm not sure. Has it been confirmed that it's going to be called PS5?
I don't think
officially. So. Has it been official? Has Sony come out and officially said it's a PS5?
Hold on. I believe that's the code name. Yeah, PS5. That's the code name, at least from what I think. That's what I read. I don't know. I may be wrong though.
Sony has confirmed the PS5 is coming, but did they say actually PS5? Has confirmed that there are plans for a successor to the PS4. PlayStation. Okay. While he didn't confirm the name PlayStation 5.
Okay.
At this point, what I can say is it's necessary to have a next generation hardware. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's something else that says otherwise. So that's the thing. It's got to stop at one point. This whole, how realistic can it look? How realistic can graphics look? It's got to stop at one point, because you can't get more realistic than real life. You can't. Like it's got to stop at one point. So the paying for more money for better graphics. Okay, this generation, we're going to give you better graphics. You're going to pay more money. We're going to give you better graphics. You're going to pay more money. At what point does it kind of equal out and say, okay, you can't get more realistic than this, or it's just not necessary to provide an experience where you're completely inside the world or whatever. So if it's more graphics, or if it's something like a VR unit, that they're going to just implement with the system itself, that we still don't know. We still don't know that. But to me, the age of sitting and paying $500 for a box and having it sit in your living room when you have stuff like cell phones, when you have stuff like the Nintendo Switch, they have to be thinking about all this. Just like when they said last year, we're looking at what the Nintendo Switch is doing. That's where I'm coming at, is if they just release something that's just the same thing as a PS5, just with more power, are the same consumers that got a PS4 going to jump on that? You know, when they already have excellent looking graphics, and to your point, like they're not going to jump into a hybrid device because they care more about power. Yes, but at the same time, you said it yourself. The Xbox One X is the most powerful system this generation. What did that do for Microsoft? It didn't do a whole lot for Microsoft. So what PlayStation has now is kind of what Nintendo has, and that's incredible IPs. They have God of War, The Last of Us, Spider-Man. If they bring if you were to say they're bringing out a PS5 or PlayStation swap, and it's got Spider-Man 2, it's got the next God of War, it's got Last of Us 3 or 4 or whatever. You know, it's got Uncharted, the next Uncharted game. That right there is a console. Like it'll sell. It can sell. But I think that it's going to be boring if it's just another box just with more power on it.
No, and I totally agree. And to tell you the truth, just like you told me the other day, I don't feel like paying $500 for another power box. I think now you're a PC gamer and a Nintendo Switch gamer, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not very familiar with PC because I have never, ever gamed on a PC. I never owned a super powerful PC or anything like that. Now, let me ask you this. How often does PC get improvements? You know, like
the GPU, like the change
exactly.
the graphic card. At this point, unless you are a person that follows the trends, like HDR, 4K, I have to, 120 refresh rate, whatever you call that, unless you're that person, you don't need something. You don't need something that powerful. You rarely ever have to change your GPU because everything nowadays that they make runs pretty much everything. It's not like it was 10 years ago when they were consistently 2 years will go by and there's a breakthrough. And now the GPU's performance is like a super, it's incredible now. Everything is caught up to graphics. That's the thing. All the hardware has caught up to the visual aspect of things. So now they have to add stuff like VR. They have to add stuff like portability, because when it comes to looking at something and thinking it's realistic and pretending that you're there, or, that you're there, it's there. It's already been there for the past few years.
Yeah. And listen, I don't disagree with you on that. I think that companies do have to move forward and kind of focus on other things that can be for gamers' convenience, rather than focusing just on visuals. I do think it's going to be pretty boring if that's what Sony decides to focus on. I don't disagree with that, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's very hard to say what they will do exactly. The fact that the Nintendo Switch is definitely a threat to them, as it was stated by them. Yeah, yes, it is. But again, I don't know. Maybe they could come up with something else. Maybe a more powerful box, but then come out with a tablet or something like that looks like a Nintendo Switch of somehow that you can actually maybe stream your games or do something and just take them on the go or something like that. But not make it your main console. Not force you, because the Nintendo Switch, this is your console right here. This is the console. You put it on the dock, you play on TV, you take it out, you play outside, right? But maybe the PS5 is just going to be another power box and give you the option of buying a tablet or some sort that you can just, download. Maybe you download your games in there and just take them on the go as well. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't see Sony. I really don't see Sony I don't see Sony having lots of success. And I think they know that. They've already went through a lot of experiences trying to do the same thing that Nintendo has done, and it always fails. It always fails.
Yeah, but the difference being that Nintendo, to me anyways, has focused more on portability than the home console experience. And it shows, with the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, the DS, it seems like the R&D goes more towards portability than it has for home consoles. At least and they've been more successful at it. Whereas it's the opposite with Sony. It seems it's always like an afterthought when it comes to their portable machines. They're not. There's not. They're just like their home consoles. You just play them. There's nothing crazy about them. There's no touch screen. There's no. There's nothing that ingenious about them. I guess the PS Vita had the touch control, the touchpad in the back. But besides that
was so stupid.
Yeah. Besides that, I don't, it's always been an afterthought for them. Now, if they were to make a hybrid device, they would be putting everything onto the system. So they'd be putting their full marketing, their full IPs, their full R&D all on this system. All their resources on it. Could they do it? Yes. Would it be successful? I think so, if they did that way. I don't know if a home console would just be another box. I don't know if that would be successful. At least not as successful.
Well, I think, in my opinion, let's read a couple of the comments, because we've been focusing too much on talking to each other, and we gotta talk to the guys over here. So I know Andres Restart has a lot of comments down here, man. He could have, he could have joined us and maybe give his own thoughts also. Okay, so Andres Restart, PC Master Race. What if VR features right out of the box? I'll say they need hardware upgrade to perfect VR. PS5 will change the game by adding any emojis. Yo, what's good? Personally, I feel that the only real need for a GPU upgrade comes along with new console generation. At least something a bit more current. Unless you want the top of the line experience with with all the bells and whistles.
And that's the thing. People think, like, when they think PC gaming, they automatically think like they already see money signs like in their eyes when they see, and that's not the case. You could build a great PC that could run games just like on the PS4 and an Xbox One for maybe the same price, maybe a little bit more. But you get all the exclusives that come with PC and all the advantages of playing online for free and Steam. You get your Steam. I mean, there's a lot of advantages to play on the PC.
Okay.
You want to let Andre? Let's get Andres in here.
Yeah, Andre. Let's let me send you the link.
Oh, it's about to go down now. Three-way battle.
Yeah, let's Where are you at, man?
But yeah, he's right though. KK Glad. You really only need to upgrade your GPU whenever a new console comes, because that's what companies focus on. They want to focus on making a game for the current generation consoles and PC. Excuse me. When it comes to games, that everybody that mostly plays, like Call of Duties or franchises that are big sellers. So everybody kind of copies what they do. And you really only need to do that. You don't really have to upgrade that much. Sonic Thrillington says, no, just the home market. It's also the smart device that Sony and Nintendo are competing with. Yes, I agree. And Nintendo might stick with carts, but Sony and Microsoft will stick with optical media due to the disc is cheaper to make than cartridges. Oh, really? How about that cartridge that Sony that thing that got out today? Huh? That's going to be on the PS5. Did you see that? I know. But you know how people jumped on that? They're like, without even making any effort to try to research it. They just jumped on it. All the bunch of websites. This is the new cartridge for the new PlayStation. It's like,
and a lot of people, like, because I saw Spawnwave shared it, and I was like, dude, this has nothing to do with a PS5 or anything like that. This is just for one of those Japanese machines. They're selling.
Yeah, it's like their version of Labo.
Yeah, it's their own version of Labo. It's
just weird because they announced that like last year, and I don't know if it's out yet.
Yeah.
But if they had a patent out for it, I don't think it's out yet. But that's kind of weird how they announced it so far away.
It's just so crazy to me how these guys, some of these sites, news, gaming news, and even some people, in YouTube just jumping to the conclusion, oh wait, what? Sony is developing cartridges? Oh.
And yeah, because that gets them attention, dude. They know what they're doing. It gets them attention. Just like those websites, it gets them the clicks. Oh, there's new information on the new PlayStation console. Oh, I'm gonna click on. They know exactly what they're doing, man.
I know, man. It's crazy. Hey, Andres, I sent you the link on Twitter, man.
What are you doing? Get in here.
Yeah, man.
What are you doing with your life?
It's been just a minute though. What are you waiting for, man? It's been a minute now. It's been a minute.
Trizzy Na says Sony as a company is very reactionary as opposed to proactive. They'll copy Nintendo and that's another thing. And they'll copy Nintendo in some way with the PS5, I'm sure. But I really think both Microsoft and Sony will be GPing for streaming next gen. Yes, but going with that thought. Hey, Andres.
There we are. Yeah. You guys are just talking shit. I was taking a little too long. I'll tell you why it took me an additional 60 seconds, because I was like, you know what? Let me get a nice hot pizza to enjoy this discussion.
Oh my God!
Right, man. I haven't had dinner. That's not. You can't, man. I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna block you. So
I'm gonna bring the trash talk to this debate.
Sony has copied Nintendo on so many things. I mean, it just makes sense that they would copy them on Nintendo's pretty much their greatest idea they've had in a decade, and you know what I'm saying, since the Wii. And of course they're going to copy them. That's the number one. I don't even need more argument than that. Is that Sony copies everything that Nintendo does. So of course they're going to copy them.
So in the chat, it may have been a little misleading because I was actually saying, like, I don't think they'll go for a straight up hybrid like the Switch, because even though historically speaking, Sony always copies Nintendo, right? Like, you know how the joke is Sony always wins. They also always copy Nintendo. But one, I did bring up that, like, if it's called a PS5, I have a hard time believing that they get away with calling it a PS5 and it being a hybrid system that's more powerful than the PS4 Pro. Like, I feel like the messaging would be weird there. But if it's not a PS5, like you were suggesting earlier, then they could still roll with that, right?
Well, that's just the one article I read, which is back. I'll tell you exactly when this article I have. I'd have to do more. This was to this year in June. So in June they were still not calling it PS5. All they said was, at this point, what I can say is it's necessary to have a next generation hardware.
Okay.
So what do they mean by that?
I mean, usually it's a PS. But here's the thing: didn't they say they were bowing out of the handheld business? Right? Didn't Sony say that?
I believe they did.
But that was. I think that was like in between when the Switch was still coming out, or right before the Switch was out.
I feel like I actually think it was not too long ago.
Let's see.
Let's see who could Google faster.
Not me. I make too many typos. I have to.
Sony. So that was September of this year. So yes.
Right. Yeah. So that makes sense. Timeline in my head in terms of timeline. It was just a couple months ago. What does it say?
Well, all it says is in Japan, we will manufacture PlayStation Vita until 2019. From there, shipping will end. Currently, we do not have any plans regarding a new handheld device.
Okay, so all right.
That makes
not okay. If that's what it is, I'm gonna have to go do more research, but that might be what it is. That what I'm referring to. Yeah. If it is, Yeah, they could still go ahead and do it, but like you look at the PSP. The PSP is the most successful non-Nintendo handheld of all time. And while I think it did make money for Sony, it still paled in comparison to the DS, right? Like it wasn't even close. Okay, and then the Vita failed. Vita was a failure, but although Sony didn't try to make it successful, they just didn't. And I think part of the reason was because Sony felt they didn't have the resources to really support the PS4 and the Vita well, right? And then they also have the PSVR as well. So they have these different focuses that they've been working on. Of course, Sony is also a company that covers other things aside from just gaming. But, in terms of the gaming department, they may have felt like they were spreading themselves too thin. So maybe that's why they kind of didn't focus on the Vita. So if they were to combine their divisions, right, which they don't have to combine their divisions because they don't have a handheld division. But, but if they were just focus their efforts on just one hybrid system, then I guess I could see it happening, right? Because the reason why the Vita basically wasn't supported is because I feel like they weren't supported. It was just too much to do with the VR, with the PS4, the Pro, and then it was just too much. So if they were to focus on just one or two different devices, then maybe I could see it happening. But at the same time, right, if they were to kind of do that, they are making it more of a handheld system. And historically speaking, Sony has not done well against Nintendo. So I'm just saying, like from the higher ups at Sony, if they hear that they're thinking about going into the hybrid device, right, where it's a kind of a handheld, when they look at the history, a lot of the people who invest in Sony might be a little concerned because that they haven't really done better than Nintendo in that space. Nintendo has historically dominated the handheld space. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I'm skeptical if that's what they would want to do for sure, because they've always lost against Nintendo when it comes to handhelds.
Yeah, but like I said before, they would be putting all their efforts into this hybrid device. So they'd be putting all their marketing, all their IPs, and their IPs right now are stronger than ever. Like you can't deny that. Sony's IPs right now are stronger than ever. They would be putting all their IPs onto this hybrid device. I don't think that would be. I see that as a better move than just creating another box that's more.
I'll tell you this,
because most people would just be like, well, I already have this thing that plays in 4K and has like a I don't see the jump happening.
You guys may know what I want. I'll get to that in a bit, but if you're right and that's the direction Sony takes their next system, I don't think that necessarily hurts Nintendo. I think it may help it.
I don't think it hurts it at all.
Because if Sony makes a device like the Switch, guess what? Third parties have even more reason to continue to support the Switch, right? Because
that's why I'm saying that I feel that if Sony decides to make a system like that, I think Nintendo's not going to have any problems. But I do see Sony having problems because historically speaking, as you said, Sony hasn't done good with handhelds, and it's going to be a hybrid system. So, it's going to be a handheld in a way, and there has been so much trust from developers, when it comes to not hybrid system, but, handhelds in the past from Nintendo. And we're seeing that Nintendo is getting even more trust at this point from developers. Even certain Western developers are jumping in. So I don't know. I don't see Sony. I don't see Nintendo being affected at all. I see
y'all gonna jump on me like that.
No, man. I mean, like, we're talking about history, though. Like, historically speaking.
Well, I'm actually agreeing with you that I think it's possible. I don't know for sure. I just wanted to address the history because they might be skeptical of it, but they might do it.
Okay, so if you don't think a hybrid is the way to go, what do you think will be if you're Sony?
What do you do? That's a good question because I also agree that if you making another box is a bad idea.
Yeah, maybe if you do what they try with the PSVR, like you said, Andres, if they just bundle it together with the PS5 and just make it all complete. But not again, because I didn't mention it before, but VR sucks, man. I'm sorry, but VR, you might have some great games on VR, but most people, a lot of people cannot play VR to begin with. Me, for example, are one of the people, and a lot of friends that I know, whenever they try the VR goggles, unless they have some new kind of technology that doesn't get you sick or doesn't, it just, I don't see that being the future is VR. Maybe if they change the technology where you're not, where it doesn't give you, the word escapes me right now, but I just don't see the VR doing it right now or in the next gen.
Well, I agree that they have to find something because there is that whole getting dizzy issue. It's not really suited for long play sessions. And considering the kind of experiences that they sort of suggested they could deliver, like with the Skyrim VR and things of that nature, like those are kind of games that you have long play sessions with, right? Not just quick little 5-minute, 10-minute experiences. And I don't think they're there yet. I've tried. I don't think they're there yet. I agree with you. But can they get there with the next system in 2020? That I'm not. I think they might. It wouldn't shock me if they could. But again, also that hasn't had that much success either. So do they want to bet on that, right? The same way I'm suggesting that maybe they don't want to bet on a hybrid system because historically speaking, they haven't done well against Nintendo handhelds. They also might not want to go all in on a VR system because that also hasn't done that well either.
Okay, so, but what you're saying is because let's just call it what it is. Because handheld systems haven't done well, it's the same as VR systems not doing well. But the thing is, one of those things is not like the other. Right now, handheld gaming is the most popular it's ever been ever. Like, cell phone gaming makes more money than console gaming, period. Like a lot more money. You know what I'm saying? So playing on handheld is basically a hybrid system, only that you could connect it when you're at home. That's what the Switch is. So that's part of the reason why the Switch is at where it's at right now. So just because Sony didn't do well before because of whatever reason, because the PSP was competing with the greatest selling Nintendo console of all time, and because the PS Vita was a failure, it's just let's just call it what it was. It's just a failure. That doesn't mean that they can't compete with a hybrid system now.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean that doesn't mean that. I mean, I don't disagree with the fact that it may come. That may be something that Sony will do, but I just. Well, do I see it doing well? Do I see it like doing what? Because people are going. Because that's the thing. You got to think about you. See, when I think about Sony coming out with another system, with a hybrid system, I just think about what they could do. And there's nothing that we can base it off because honestly, Sony, like, what can Sony do, right? Like, I don't think we have to base it off of what they've done in the past.
I think they're gonna do something though. They need a cell. Right, like the PS2 had a DVD player, right, and then that was the biggest reason why the PS2 is it the best selling console of all time?
Best selling console.
Yep.
The DVD player. That's what it was. And then with the PS3, they tried to push the Blu-ray, right? That along with HD graphics, that was like their big sell, right? Ironically, their processor was called the Cell, but whatever. The PS4 actually, though.
Good joke.
The PS4, yeah, thanks. I guess they didn't have this. Their big sell was this is still a normal system. We're not going to try to shit on you guys by having it all be cloud gaming and lock your systems to your games to a certain accounts. Like, and that's how Xbox got to a bad start. But yeah. I don't think they can do the same thing that they did with the PS4, where they didn't necessarily have. All they did with the PS4 with the PS3 is they just made it better, pretty much, right? They added VR after the fact. Like, that wasn't like their selling point from early on.
What I can think is that most of their success is due to Xbox on Microsoft's bad start with Xbox One, and maybe just the price point.
Right, because
and Nintendo. And Nintendo. You're right about the Xbox, but also Nintendo. Both of them didn't give them any competition.
What about Nintendo? Hey, Brandon.
Oh, Brandon's here?
No, I'm just No, I'm just saying. I just said, what about?
Oh, I got you.
That's Brandon's. So what were you saying about Nintendo? I'm sorry, Coloco.
I said that Nintendo didn't compete either, so that helped the PS4 as well, because it wasn't only the Xbox that had a misstep. Nintendo fell and broke both of its legs. It didn't just have a misstep.
They had a major screw up.
Pretty easy to beat the Wii U.
Yep. So I mean, I do think that's why they are. I mean, the PS4
were uncontested.
Yes, it is. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get it's just a waiting game. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I just don't think when you have two products that do the same thing, it's just very hard. It's just
you have competition.
You have competition, which is not a bad thing, by the way. No. That's very good for business. You know, that's when you will see like both companies go at their fullest. But I just don't see PlayStation having the same trust. You know, neither from the consumer, from developers, from nobody, man, from their fans. But I guess it all depends how, you know, I guess it all depends how they do it, how much it's gonna cost, you know, the way it's gonna play, what type of businesses they're gonna do with developers. Because I don't think, if I was a developer and I see that Sony is releasing another, you know, a hybrid system, and I see that the Nintendo Switch is selling a whole lot, you know, I'm gonna jump on Nintendo like fly on shit, you know. I'm not gonna go straight to Sony when they have had this past history in which they have failed. And the PSP was a success. The PSP was not even selling good at first. The PSP became a success because of emulation. You know, that was pretty much it. And the PSP was still selling more than the PS Vita. When the PS Vita,
the PSP sold 80 million total, and PS Vita sold what, 13 million or 14?
But even when the PS Vita came out, the PSP
was still selling it. Yeah.
You know?
So I have a question. Did PSP have good software sales?
I don't remember.
That's a good question.
Because it wasn't a big part of the whole PSP community was just like modding it, playing a whole bunch of other games on it through ROMs and stuff. Like it wasn't all about legal gaming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I remember everyone be like, "Oh yeah, my PSP has Nintendo games on it and all this other stuff." Like,
wow, their highest selling game with 80 million consoles was Grand Theft Auto at 7.72 million. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. And then you had Monster Hunter Freedom sold 5.5 million. Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories sold 5, and that's pretty much it. Everything else sold 3 million.
I mean, 7.7 million is good, but as the best-selling game, that is bad.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to the point I feel like I made earlier, where traditionally Sony hasn't done well with their handles. Yes, the PSP sold well, right? But it still sold way less than the DS. And as we're looking at the software sales, they were bad, right? So, you know, Sony may look at the PSP as kind of a failure too. Then I don't know. Like I said, I didn't say it, but I don't follow Sony as close as I follow Nintendo, so I don't know about everything that all of their executives and interviews have said. But based off the numbers, it's not as successful as it might look, right? When you just look at the units sold versus the software sales, that's when it's not that good. So I just want to stress again, like if Sony is going to go this hybrid route, I'm just saying, like they'll probably be careful. They might want to try and do something different. Like maybe they can somehow implement that hybrid design, but they need to do something else, because I think they would. I feel like they would want to.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate here. Okay, so what if? All right, I will agree that if they do something special with the PS5, let's say a PS5 is coming out, the one thing that I think they could do special with that system is just have another box. However, take a hit on the initial price. So a PS5 that's so much more powerful than the PS4 Pro at $300.
Let's add on to that idea. What if it has no disk drive, right? And that they really go for full digital here. If they don't take out a disk drive, that actually lowers the price because that makes it expensive, and you also have to take heating and cooling into consideration with the disk drive. That makes it a lot easier to just create a box. If it's just focused on graphics and having the hard drive, like that, it's a lot easier to get done at a more affordable price. They could probably
as long as the option's there. Yeah, if there's an option for a disk drive version, where it's like $100 more expensive, and it's $400. But that, to me, that is the only way they can wow with having another box is the price. It's because they take a hit on it, or they got a good deal with the hardware making it. That's the only way to me that they can wow is when bringing it. And then just say something like it's $300. However, we made this system to specifically be, play VR games. So the VR, we have this bundle with the VR already attachment, and that's $500.
I can kind of see it actually when I think about it. So so let's say you come out with $300 system, has no disk drive, but maybe they do offer an option. Personally, I don't think they need to, but I know a lot of people do, right? So I'm not going to say that I'm right and everyone's wrong. So that could still be an option, but let's just say they have at least a $300 device that's more powerful than the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One S by a decent margin, right? And they tout true 4K 60 FPS across all games. Like that's the bare minimum. 4K 60 FPS is like the standard on this system, right? That's like one of the big sells because even the Xbox One S can't do that. It has a checkerboard to a degree, correct? So they do that at $300, VR compatible, and you can upgrade for not too much to get that on board. So it's actually a lot cheaper than what it is on PS4 right now to get a full VR setup. And then maybe they also tout a few other things. There's a few other issues that PS4 has. Like a lot of PS4s run into a lot of issues in terms of operating. They slow down a lot, have a lot of glitches. Like they could, maybe they don't advertise, oh, this one's glitch free, but you know what I mean? Like that could be one of the things that this is a much better running system. It's cooler, quieter. And they also talk about the controllers because that's my opinion. PS4 controller is bad. Not because of the design, but because of that light being a complete waste of battery life, and the battery is just terrible there. Like they need to redesign that controller a little bit. So the PS5 could have better controllers, much better running, quieter system, more powerful, true 4K, 60 FPS across the board, and it's better situated for VR, and it's not that much more of an upgrade. I think they could get away with that next generation. That could be their direction. I think they could perform well with that.
Yeah, because otherwise I just don't see it. I don't see, even at $400, I don't see the upsell there. You just literally tried to sell, something similar just a couple years ago that you said it's a lot more powerful than a PS4 in the PS4 Pro for $400. Now you're selling us another system in 2020 for the same thing. I don't see it, man. Do you see it, Ray? Because I don't see it, brother.
I don't. I see it, man. I see it.
You see it?
No, honestly.
Are you gonna buy it?
Am I gonna buy it? No. Look, dude.
So then you don't see it.
A bunch of times, man. All the systems I've gotten that are not Nintendo, they have been given to me. Okay, I'm not gonna buy another system that costs that much money or anything like that. So no. I think I mean, whatever they do, whatever Sony does, I just don't see it. If it's a hybrid that they go with or whatever it is, I just don't see it. I personally, what would I do? I don't know. I don't want to get into the technicality because I suck at that, but I would do what Sony's always been, what Sony has been known for the most part, has always been for their great titles, and they have been known for their home consoles, giving great experiences, some of the best experiences, visuals and stuff like that. I don't think, and as you guys were talking, I was reading. Well, this is not a question, but this is just a comment by my guy right here. I don't know how to say that name, man. It's the last comment, if you guys see it, and it's that maybe maybe they'll go back and to more fantastical stuff, and less solely try to make things look as realistic as possible once it all looks realistic. Well, I agree with Coloco. I mean, it's gonna get to the point where it just, how more realistic can you make look something, right? So I do agree with the fact that they do have to do something different this coming generation in order for people to in order to not stay stuck on that type of business. But it's just very hard, man. It's just very hard for them to not see them, for me to not see them releasing another console, another box.
Hey,
Based.
I'll be back. Give me 10 minutes. I'll be back.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I'm in hands here. Okay.
You gotta take a wee wee or something? No.
10-minute wee wee.
Yeah, 5-minute wee wee, something like that. But yeah, like I was saying, man. It's just very hard for me to see Sony really not releasing another power.
I think you
console, man.
I think you highlighted something. There's echo. Why is that happening? Do you hear the echo? I don't know why that's happening. Oh, I know. I think I know why. Is it working now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. What I was gonna say was that you were I don't know exactly what you said, but you got it in my head. You probably basically said it yourself. But Sony has been playing the power game lately, right? So, and Nintendo isn't. And because of that, like was it you? I think it was you. Like Sony fans have become accustomed to more powerful hardware.
Yeah.
So they kind of have that market, If they were to go make a hybrid, then they're kind of straying away from the power market, and like that's kind of that's like their selling point right now.
Yeah.
So they have a market because Nintendo is not really going for that. So for those who want to have the most cinematic, well-running experience, that's something that Sony can do. They're doing it now. And I stopped to think about it. Like, why do I have a PS4? Well, one of the reasons is because it has games that I can't get on my Nintendo Switch, but the Nintendo Switch is progressively getting more third parties, so I have less reason to have a PS4 as there's more third parties. But the thing is, on the Switch, a lot of those third parties don't run as well. So then why would I want my PS4? Because on the PS4, they look and run better, right? So if they do the hybrid route, they lose that selling point.
Yeah. And see, that's something that I've been trying to say as well. Do you see Sony fans?
We have to readdress this when Coloco comes back. He has to go attack this point because I feel like it's a strong point. By going with a hybrid, they're abandoning their big selling point right now.
Yeah. Do you think Sony fans would be happy with that? I mean, I'm not gonna talk for every fan, right? Because not everybody.
Look, there are Nintendo fans that hate Pokemon Let's Go. There are Nintendo fans that love Pokemon Let's Go. Exactly. There are Nintendo fans that are indifferent. They're like within communities, you have other communities, right? So of course, not all Sony fans will be happy with it, but there will be Sony fans that will love it. So, I can't speak to the numbers. I don't really know.
No.
Yeah.
But it would definitely divide the Sony community,
Sony fans would be okay with it if it meant. Actually, I'm not even sure. I'm not even like if they had two systems. If they had two systems that played the same games, they run the same games, cross-compatible between both of them, right? And one was a hybrid device or a handheld device, right? And the other is just a straight-up console. But the PS5, let's say they have PS5 and they have PS5 Go. Actually, there we go. If they came out with two devices, PS5, it's your traditional cross-the-board 4K 60 FPS system. Every game that's the standard. It's not the pinnacle. It's the standard 4K at 60 FPS on the PS5, right? That's what their selling point with that. On top of VR compatibility, it's better than beforehand, right? And then they have PS5 Go that plays the same games, plays all the same games on the go, and the games are cross-compatible. So if you buy a copy of Uncharted 6 for PS5 Go, it's also available on your traditional PS5, same copy of the game. That's something that I could see fans being okay with, having two different devices like that. But if they were to try to combine them, they might be spreading themselves too thin. I I'm not sure.
Let me point this out. Didn't they do something like that with the was it the PS3 and the PS Vita?
They they had like a remote play feature, right? They had that too. I didn't use it myself, so I can't speak to it exactly, but in my head it would be more seamless, this PS5 Go, because it would work. Wouldn't need a PS5, right? Here's the thing. That feature, you needed both devices to do that. You couldn't just have one. With a PS5 and the PS5 Go, you could have one or the other, right? But you could also have both. You have that option of having both. They work with each other, but they also function entirely separate. So I could see it happening. I mean, I can see it working. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but I think that makes sense. But at the same time, creating two different systems is R&D for two different systems, right? But if they all play the same games, it's all cross-compatible, it's a lot easier to make it work. You just have to take into account there's going to be different graphical settings, but if Nintendo's able to do it and have several different graphical settings, right, for the Switch, then
definitely.
I think it's totally possible. I mean, the way games are designed now, it's all scalable, right? You have dynamic resolution. For some games, they have a dynamic frame rate, which is really bad. But that I could see it. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. I have no idea. It's because sometimes Sony does things that I don't think make sense, and then other times they do things and I'm just like, damn, that was smart, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way I was thinking about it is that maybe they could release a PS5, a powerful box of some sort, and then just give people the option of, I don't know, whether they develop some sort of like tablet, a Nintendo, kind of like a Nintendo Switch of some sort, or a PlayStation Switch, but sell it separate from that. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I told. Basically, it's kind of the thing you're saying.
Okay.
That's
what's the difference?
Yeah.
Is there a difference? I'm trying to understand what you're selling. So
there's not a difference. I mean,
okay. But yeah, two different devices.
I just didn't specify. Yeah, two devices.
Right.
I just didn't name. As a matter of fact, I mentioned it earlier before you even jumped in, but I just didn't call it a PS5 Go.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what it is. That's what I've thought about. Have a very powerful console, but also give people the option of being able to purchase, another device or whatever they have to do that works kind of like a Nintendo Switch, where they can take their games on the go.
Right.
That I could see happening.
Yeah.
Because as you stated, if they do decide to go hybrid, that will mean that they will have to sacrifice power. I don't think that PlayStation. I don't think that they.
So
Go ahead.
So let's assume, right, that they do have a PS5 and a PS5 Go. Do you want a better name for that? I like the PS5 Go, but
I like it, man.
Okay.
I think you should work for Sony, bro.
Give them that idea. Maybe PS5 Go. So we pretty much know what the PS5 is going to be, right? Pretty much, right? But the PS5 Go, does it only play handheld mode? Can it work on a TV too, or no?
The PS5. You mean the PS5 Go?
Like when you buy a PS5 Go, does it come with a dock like the Switch?
Can it play on TV?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I didn't think it could. I mean, I wouldn't think it can. Do you think?
I think theoretically Sony could come up with a PS5 Go that's basically a straight Switch rip, right? But that's what I mean. Like, so like, what would it be? Would PS5 Go be a Switch rip, or would it be more like a PSP, but plays PS5 games?
That's what I was thinking. When that it would be some sort of like PSP, like a tablet, or you can even
maybe if they go for PS5 Go, they could even make it smaller than the Switch. They can make it more of a pocket-friendly device. And if they do that, they might even have an advantage against the Switch, because then it's more comfortable, more mobile-friendly than the Switch. The Switch, you kind of need to have it in a backpack or some sort of baggage, or really baggy pants and stuff like that. I could maybe see it. I mean, I think they still might want to have a pretty mighty screen on it, but I mean, look at the Vita. Like the Vita, I don't know.
Yeah, the way I was thinking about it is maybe just have it like a separate device that doesn't necessarily play on TV, because that's what you're gonna have the console for.
Right,
You
but
know?
I think the big point is just that they would play the exact same games.
Yeah.
One copy you buy works on both. There's no downloading needed. It just insert on one. If you have it in one, you put it in the other, right? Maybe it's even like maybe it's one of those things where you actually have to re-download it digitally onto your PS5 Go, right? Maybe there's not like a cartridge or a disc, but it's actually just you have access to it. You register the game on your PS5, and since you have the same PlayStation account across both systems, you can download the same game onto your PS5 Go, right? I think that would probably be the better way to do it, because especially if they go for not having any sort of physical media, it's all pure digital. That could work. And actually, I feel like for the Vita and the PSP, for the Vita, they actually did go with like some sort of cartridge, like SD card thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they would probably still have to have like SD cards for storage space, but that's something that Sony has been decent with. Although I didn't get a Vita, but didn't it have like kind of more of like a unique storage space? It wasn't like just standard micro SD.
It was like Sony storage. You had to buy
any micro SD card on Amazon and make it work.
And that was one of the biggest problems, because the Sony SD cards, they costed a lot of money, dude. And that was one of the problems that a lot of people had with PSP. You were not only spending for spending money for a much expensive system than Nintendo was offering, but you also had to buy the software, and then you also had to buy the memory card, which at the time was at least $70.
Yeah.
So it didn't come with any storage. That was the crazy thing. And that's why a lot of people were very, very bothered, on the PS Vita. I didn't even get a PS Vita when it first launched myself.
So here's a question, though. I feel like the reason they would go for a proprietary memory card, and thanks, Jugs McKee, for clarifying that. The reason they probably went for that was probably to sort of try to cut down on piracy, right? Which is the whole issue with PSP and Vita. There's so much piracy on the systems that their software sales are basically zero, right? They don't really make money on the system. They just make money on the hardware sales. And the Vita was such an expensive system, they probably made very little. And that's probably another reason why they didn't really go with it, because the piracy is so strong in that system. The software sales are weak. It just didn't make sense in terms of making money for them. But like, I guess the reason they went for the proprietary SD card was to try to stop that. So then that might be the biggest reason, actually, why they stop with the Vita, because of the piracy.
Yeah.
So then, like, if they were to do a PS5 Go, they would have to figure that out, because if piracy is still going to be an issue, they might not want to even go for that, right? Yeah. That's a thing. We've brought up several points that go against Coloco's argument that he needs to totally address here. We need to write it down. We got to write it down. They keep coming.
My idea was just to be here until 7:30. It's already 7:25. Coloco is really, really taking a long time. So I guess we'll go until 8, maybe, if he comes back soon enough. But there has been a lot of points that we discussed that we do have to point it out for him. And I mean, it's been great to have you in here, because you brought him up. I was just not even thinking about that. I was just thinking about the history on, PlayStation handhelds, and just like, I guess, more the business side of it, and the developer, side of it, and, the consumer side of it. So
maybe we could talk about Nintendo Switch's future, because we've been really Sony focused, right? Because obviously that impacts Nintendo, but maybe while we're waiting for Coloco to come back, maybe we could just kind of maybe talk about what we could expect from Switch, not counting, how Sony impacts them.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Well, no, I was just wondering if you had any ideas on that.
Oh, well, how would it impact? Yo, Broke Boy Gaming, what's up, man? Thank you for coming, bro. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, what are my ideas on how it would impact the Nintendo Switch, you mean?
Well, I was actually kind of thinking like, what can we expect from the Switch's future? Like what? How is it? How are things going to turn out for the Switch? Like, sure, let maybe there's a PS5 or a PS5 Go or something like that, or but what is Nintendo going to do with the Switch moving forward? Like, how long are we just going to have Switch? You know, you guys were talking about PS4 Pro earlier on, right? Not Switch Pro. You're talking about that, which you say you don't like that terminology, right? Because it implies it's extra powerful. But do they go for that? Right? I love the idea. I keep talking about it. Of there being a 4K dock, right? I mean, if you go back to the patents before, when we just knew it as the NX, there was the patents for a supplemental computing device. So Nintendo has the patents out there to have some sort of apparatus that boosts the power of the system. So it's not like they don't have the technology for it, right? I love the idea of Nintendo launching a 4K dock instead of a Switch Pro. One, because it's more consumer friendly. Okay, because here's the thing: you already have your Switch, right?
Yeah.
You launch a Switch Pro so you can play better looking games. You have to buy a whole other system. But if you have a 4K dock and you really care about having better looking games, you don't have to buy a whole other system. You can simply buy something that works with your current system, and that could be really cool to see. And based off the way the Switch works now, right, the graphics already jump up when you put it into the dock. So with a 4K dock, they would just jump up more. So, and I could see that working. And to me, the Switch as a pure handheld is future-proof for quite a while because it's a beast of a handheld. It's just when we talk about it as a console where it's just not that strong. But as a handheld, I don't think you can complain about it at all. I think it's going to be good for years.
Yeah, Nintendo stated that they want to have it at least for 10 years in the market.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. So let me ask you this. So what do you think, and this is just me asking, right? What do you think comes after the Nintendo Switch? What do you think Nintendo could work on?
That's an incredible question.
Because
Switch 2. Super Switch.
Super Switch. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I feel that
SS, doesn't that sound great? Nintendo SS. Embark on the Nintendo SS journey, right?
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
like you come up with some great ideas. You got the PlayStation 5 Go, man. No, but in all honesty, man. So that's right. We don't know, but I see that there isn't, as of right now, right? Because we haven't thought, we're not thinking way too deep into it. Maybe some sort of technology comes in the future that Nintendo can say, hey, maybe we can integrate this in our next console, in order for people to buy it, or to make it different from from the Nintendo Switch. But as of right now, I think there may be some improvement if they do release a Nintendo revision. I just don't think it's gonna be 4K. There's gonna be improvements over the Switch in power, but it's not going to be, because right now, to what system do you compare the Nintendo Switch? It's not even as powerful as an Xbox One, right? It's almost there.
No, the normal Switch, yeah, it's notably weaker.
It's notably, yeah. So I think this is just me thinking, right? I think that if they do release a revision of the Nintendo Switch, it's going to be probably as powerful as the Xbox One, or maybe just a little bit more powerful, but that's it. I think the 4K is going to be for the next system that Nintendo decides, or whatever other, because if Nintendo is going to take so long on releasing another system, oh, there's some noise with a microphone.
Peloco's fighting his microphone.
Oh, okay. So I maybe if the Nintendo Switch does last that long, maybe new technologies would come that maybe would get the Nintendo Switch up there. But I feel that Nintendo, and this is historically also, Nintendo never catches up with the power of other companies, unless we're talking about like way back in the past, right? Like the GameCube, 64, Super Nintendo, and all that. I don't see Nintendo getting a 4K system now. Maybe next generation for them, or maybe next generation they'll get something that's a little bit more powerful than 4K if something does come out that's more powerful than 4K. But I don't think they'll do it now.
No.
That's just me. I just think that they want, because I just keep asking myself what comes afterwards. What comes afterwards? What is Nintendo going to be left, for them to improve in their next system? Because I feel like a hybrid system. I feel like this is going to be the way to go with Nintendo from now on.
I guess the question is what yeah, I agree. I think this hybrid system is the future of gaming. So then, at least for Nintendo it is, right? So what can they do to expand on that? I think one,
power is one of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you, man.
What? No, I was just checking to see if you can hear me. That's all.
We can
I've
hear
been
you.
saying that for like the past 5 minutes, and y'all haven't said anything. So I'm like, oh.
Well, you were wrestling with the microphone, so I wasn't sure you were ready. Yeah, but I think power is definitely one way they obviously make it better. But what else can they do? Nintendo loves to go beyond just a power upgrade, right? They usually forego the power upgrade to improve it in a different way. So what would they do? I think one option is obviously VR, right? The Switch
Virtual Boy 2.
Yes.
Oh,
Dude, what if they actually did that? What if they named it Virtual Boy 2?
I don't know. I think
it'd be a cool thing to see, but I don't think that'd be the right business move.
Virtual Boy Mini instead of.
I don't think it'll be the right name for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it'll be the right name.
I like the idea of them creating another VR system that's like a successor to the Virtual Boy.
Or or it's a Virtual Boy Mini, except it's not red, it's in actual colors. It's just one product, just like an NES Mini. It's a Virtual Boy Mini, but with colors.
That'd be amazing. And that's not a Switch successor, that's just something else.
Yeah.
Like that would be really cool. That'd be dope. I love it.
Yeah. So many great games.
Get it done.
There were some games.
Yeah, there were some.
Yeah, the Wario game is pretty cool.
That's like the only one I know of, though.
Wasn't there like a Star Fox one also?
Yeah, there was something like this. It wasn't Star Fox. It was something like that. There was a Waterworld game.
The boxing
best
game was
movie ever made. There's the boxing, the Robo Boxer or whatever.
Yep.
You know what I think they could do? I'm not against bringing back the Virtual Boy naming, but not as a dedicated system. So what if on the Super Switch, because that's the next system.
Virtual Bay or Virtual Boy?
Did I say Bay?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, must have been a Freudian slip. Virtual Boy, right? I think they could bring back that naming, but not as a successor, but as an add-on to the Super Switch, which is the next Nintendo Switch, the Super Switch, the Nintendo SS.
Or name it Virtual Bay, and basically it's just Michael Bay explosions.
Everywhere.
Just a virtual device, and all you experience Michael Bay explosions
and particle effects, and it's just a super. Yeah, that'd be funny. But if they do a the next Switch, I think it could be VR compatible, right? I mean, the Switch already is almost. It has like the right form factor. You put the tablet inside a headset. The controllers are basically like the Move and stuff. Not the Move. There's a couple like really popular VR devices. What are they called? The
Slam Diggers.
Yes, that's not what it is. But you guys, I'm sure a lot of you.
I know what you're talking about. I'm not saying it intentionally because I like to see you trying to guess stuff.
No, I know what you mean. I just don't know. I don't care about VR, so I'm not.
Yeah, but basically, Yeah, the Joy-Cons are comparable in terms of technology. So it's there. It's just power-wise and resolution-wise is where it can't really measure up to other VR devices, right? It lacks the power. I'm sure battery would be an issue. And on top of that, there's the whole getting dizzy thing. So, but I could see it where on the next Switch successor, I like calling it Super Switch, right? They have an apparatus that's kind of like a complementary device that you can get on top of it, but it's sold separately called the Virtual Boy or something like that. A play on that name to kind of pay homage to that, where it's a peripheral that you add onto your Switch that offers VR capabilities. And really, it's just like a headset, right? But that headset has some pretty cool technologies because it helps to maybe there's something they put around your ears to help maintain your balance. Because I know the receptors to sort of understand our balance are around that area, so maybe they could do something there. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but maybe there's something there they could do, and that could fix the balancing issue so they could be more situated for long play sessions. And of course, the form factor for the Switch is already great, but by the time it's a Super Switch, it's already has the power and the battery life to be a good VR kind of experience.
Yeah. I think you're onto something, and I think they should just go ahead and just release like a cardboard like Labo VR thing. Just do it. Who cares if it's low? Because the problem is the screen, the 720p screen, right? It's not high definition.
It's gotta be like wait, yeah. It's
but
like,
who cares? Just be, as long as even if it's it's like a simple game. Like there's a 6-pack of like simple Pokemon where you throw a ball, or like Mario where you're Mario jumping over blocks or something. Like
maybe it could be like some sort of not like treated as like a serious like effort, but like like just some smaller games that they did it. That'd be interesting. Yo, what if they had a Nintendo Land 2 and they did it all through VR?
Man, that would be
with
awesome.
Labo, like you said.
That would be cool.
That would be awesome, man.
Yeah,
I like Nintendo Land.
Yeah, I want more Nintendo Land. That was good. It pissed me off because that's all we had for the Wii U.
But then we got the best thing ever since then. 1-2 Switch. It's like it's way better than Nintendo Land. I'm just kidding.
Right now, all I can see is like that fat guy with the cow with the like the little cow like pulling on the cow's boobs. Like it's literally what it is.
I don't think they're called rudders. I don't think they're boobs.
They're boobs. Milk comes out of their boobs. It's a cow boob. Cow udder's a cow boob.
I don't think that. No, I think it's I think it's an udder. It's not a boob.
What's the difference? Aside from it being on a cow,
it's not called the boob. It's called an udder.
It's a cow boob.
What are udders?
Yeah,
all right. So, 1-2 Switch. Have you guys ever actually played it?
I played it. Yeah, I've played it. It was okay. It was very okay.
It has potential, man. That play style has potential. They just needed to do more stuff with it. It was just so like the fact that you could play games without looking at the screen is really cool. It's a really cool concept, right? But like, man, it was so lame for $50 too,
Yeah, and I think also because you couldn't really be portable with it, that also kind of took away from it because it came out earlier on, right, where you want to really take advantage of the Switch's portability. The 1-2 Switch to me wasn't really like the Wii Sports or the Nintendo Land. One, because it wasn't packaged in with the system, right? But also, play with motion controls, and it seemed like kind of like a tech demo mini game compilation like Nintendo Land and Wii Sports. Because the difference is the main gimmick for the Switch isn't the motion controls; it's the portability. So it wasn't like that 1-2 Switch is really selling you on what the Switch could do. It was just kind of using one aspect of the Switch. It's kind of more of an afterthought, in my opinion.
No, like I kind of disagree because you can use that game portable. That's the whole point of 1-2 Switch is you can take the tablet.
That's true. That's true. You can use it in tabletop.
You can use the gun game, and that was actually pretty fun. I used it, a couple times gathering with friends, and we would do that. And then you could use the samurai game where you're trying to hit people over the head.
I take it back, man.
But they needed more stuff like that, man. Or make it cheaper, or like you said, bundle it in. Make it cheaper, bundle in, or excuse me. They needed more games like that.
I think they need a better game than 1-2 Switch.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think the ideas were good. Like the concept of it, having like these set of mini games that are with motion controls that you can do with people, and like you said, you can use in tabletop mode and kind of have like an experience like that wherever you go. But I think the package of software itself, like the amount of games and the way it was all done, I think was a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
So
we're almost getting to the end of the podcast. I don't mean to interrupt you guys or anything like that. But Andres and I were touch on some points that we would like to tell Coloco about. So, and that was regarding the debate we were having. When it comes to like the
udders versus boobs. Oh.
What?
That'll be the next discussion.
That'll be the next debate.
Yeah.
No,
I wouldn't mind having more just weird debates like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, man. I'm up for it, man.
Yeah.
I'm up for a weird podcast, man, and weird.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. Why are cow boobs called udders instead of moobs?
Moves, right?
Moobs. It's perfect.
Well, that's what goat udders are called, actually. They're called moobs.
Moobs.
Instead of goobs. Yeah.
Or they should be called coobs, because cows.
Yeah.
Coobs.
But I'm actually also really curious on what your response is, Coloco, because we did come up with a couple of points that I feel like kind of go against what you were saying earlier. So, one.
Well, then I don't want to hear it. No, that's it.
Oh,
no. Let's end the podcast right here. My points stand. I don't want to hear anything. Okay, go ahead.
You need to hear it, man.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to do it?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Man, I think that you can go ahead, and you were the ones who brought the points. I wasn't even thinking about it. So
the one I remember off the top of my head was that Ray, you're the one that brought it up to me, and I guess I kind of just like went in on it. But so right now, kind of the PS4 selling point, especially with the Pro, is that they can offer that improved, powerful cinematic experience, right? If they go the hybrid route, then they're kind of losing the market that they have right now, right? Like Nintendo's not going for the power cinematic experience route. Okay. The gamers that want that experience, that more powerful console experience, they go to Xbox One S or PS4 Pro. So even with the PS4 is still a lot better than the Switch, right? So if they go the hybrid route, they kind of lose that potential, that potential audience. They're going for a different audience now, and it's more directly competitive with Nintendo. So would they want to do that?
Is that it? Is that all you got?
There's another thing, actually.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
This guy.
The other thing is that what if they do actually have two different systems, right? One is the PS5, like traditional PS5, the way you envision it, 4K 60 FPS across the board, right? And they improve in subtle ways, right? And they do that. But they also have a other system, a companion system, separate system called, let's say, the PS5 Go, right? And the PS5 Go runs all the same games as a PS5. Not only does it run all the same games, they play the same games. So if you buy a copy of a game on one system, it works on the other, and you just download it with your PlayStation account. It's the same exact game, of course, running at different settings, but they're separate devices, right? They don't connect with each other. There's none of that. They're separate devices that you can buy separately. You can have the PS5 Go or the PS5. It's one or the other, and that's how they could do it. And with the PS5 Go, they may not even need to necessarily make it like a Switch RIP. It could just be a dedicated portable device. Maybe even make it more comfortable, more portable, better battery life than the Switch. Because right now, the Switch can't really fit in your pocket, right? It's not true. It's not the most portable of portable devices. Sony could maybe get away with doing something like that. And have kind of like that hybrid sort of environment, but it would be through two different systems.
That's kind of what the Vita was, though, or the Vita.
Except you had to buy both systems back then. With this, you only have to have one, or you could choose to have one or the other. And if you really want to have that true experience to have it between both, then you could buy both.
What do you mean? What do you mean? So what's the difference? You're buying both systems now. You're buying both systems back when you needed the Vita and the PS4.
See, when you put it like that,
What do you mean? The same? Because the Vita,
could the Vita play the exact same games? Would it stream it, or would it actually run it from the system wherever you were in the world?
The Vita, you could stream the games to the Vita as long as you had, as far as I know, an internet connection. You
right.
could stream the games from your PS4. But on top of that, a lot of games you can play on your Vita that were Vita games, like the show, and then you could play the PS4 version of the show and even transfer your saves and everything. That's as far as I know. That's what I have understood. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is.
I guess the main difference is that every single game would be the same game on both systems, be the exact same game, and there wouldn't be streaming needed. You would download the game straight onto the system, and internet or not, it would be usable on this idea for PS5 Go.
Yeah, I don't see that happening because you still have to buy two separate consoles. That's the problem there. You have to you have to invest in two separate consoles.
Okay.
And as far as a cinematic experience goes, that's all they have to say is now take the cinematic experience with you. PlayStation Play or whatever whatever they that's it. That's all they have to say. Now take the power in your hands wherever you want to go. PlayStation Go. Whatever. Like that's all that's all it takes.
But would they still have it though? Like if you have the hybrid device, you can't really go for the power route with a hybrid device.
Why not?
But how much more powerful could a hybrid be? Because I feel like the Switch.
That's the question.
Here's the thing: the Switch is already like pushing the boundaries as far as a hybrid device.
With a 2015 chip,
right?
With the 2015 chip, that wasn't even the most powerful chip.
But here's the thing: if you come out with like the best portable technology now, what can you come close to? The PS4, maybe the base PS4.
I don't know because
what I'm saying is that a PS5, right? By the time we get to 2020, what the PS5 will be far beyond what a hybrid could do. And I'm just saying that a lot of fans now are happy that Sony is going for that route. There are some people who don't necessarily want to play their games at the 720p 30 FPS. They want the 4K 60 FPS experience. So, I mean, if for whatever reason I don't think they can create a hybrid device that is a 4K 60 FPS machine in 2020. I don't think.
Well, because we're thinking form factor of the Switch, but it doesn't necessarily have to be with that form factor.
Okay.
It could be bigger. We're thinking it has to look just exactly like the Switch. Doesn't have to. They could think of some different way. I just think that given the history and the record of Sony copying all the major points of basically every Nintendo system ever, except for maybe the N64, and even then, nope, because he had the joystick, so they copied that. This is Nintendo's best idea. Why would they not copy off of it? Especially given the circumstances of the gaming industry right now, where the number one thing is handheld play. The number one thing. Because yeah.
Right.
And someone said earlier was interesting. Who's that? Someone said earlier, what if it's a phone? And a lot of people might, that was Vilbeard.
Yeah, Vilbeard.
And that's kind of crazy to think that, but is it really that crazy? Because you saw what that Apple iPad, what that did, what the kind of graphics that can run, granted,
but also these devices are $1,000, $2,000.
Yes, I know, understand that, but I'm telling you, if it's possible, the technology is out there. It doesn't mean that it can't happen. Especially because
I think there's so many things that are possible. I think it's just kind of more like what is actually going to happen, though. What's the most likely outcome? That's what I want to figure out. And I think you bring up good points, though, because Sony does always copy Nintendo. And when you think about the Switch, like that, it's hard for me to see Nintendo going away from that in the near future. Like that's the future for Nintendo. And maybe the other companies feel the same. So I don't think you're wrong in saying that maybe Sony wants to do a hybrid device.
I think you think I'm wrong. I think you do.
Oh, I don't. But I also feel like Sony might want to consider their other options because right now it's not like the PS4 is not selling. The PS4 is selling now. PS4 is performing well now. And what they're going for is more of the cinematic, better looking, better running experience. They are winning with that, right? So when I say winning, I don't mean that they are outpacing the Switch. I just mean that they're in the green, right? So I feel like maybe they could come, like you're saying, it could be a different form factor. Maybe it is a sort of device that kind of functions like the way I want the Switch to function, with a 4K dock, right, where the dock powers up the system. So maybe portably, right, it becomes more of a 720p 30 FPS experience. But once you bring it back to the base unit, it then becomes a 4K 60 FPS experience. If they can pull that off, then maybe I could see them actually going for a hybrid like device, like you're saying. But the other option to amend the original thing I said, Coloco, was like if they do create two systems, they could have the PS5, like as we've been talking, and maybe they do have the PS5 Go, but it is a straight rip of the Switch. But it's fully cross-compatible with the base PS5. Like even to the point where maybe you could just insert it into the PS5.
Okay.
It is all just speculation, but that's really interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been really good discussion. But I mean, another thing that I think, I mean, this is just me, right? They're definitely looking into what they can do in order to on what to provide for the next generation of consoles. But Nintendo is not the only one that they have to worry about. They have to worry about Xbox. I feel that another thing is that getting into Xbox and what they're going to do next generation is a whole nother topic. But
yeah, it is.
Yeah, but
you want a whole other topic?
No, we're almost
Google.
We're almost running out of time.
What if Google's like, you know what? Let's make a system.
Well, they are.
Yeah, but see, what if another?
They are making a system.
Wasn't that like an April Fool thing?
No, I don't think so.
No? Are you sure?
Let me see.
Google has the resources to create an incredible piece of technology, but I don't know if they have. I don't think they'll be able to create content that is as compelling as, say, Nintendo.
Google plans on to take a PlayStation Xbox with new gaming console. Yep. This was back in July.
Mm-hmm. I do want to say that it's not that other companies don't try to compete with Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. They try. They just fail.
Yeah.
That's why we don't talk about it, right? It's not like Google's like the one company that's decided to try. Other companies have tried and failed many times. And I guess the only system that I can think of that got close to kind of maybe obtaining some market share was it maybe the Ouya, which is kind of a laughing stock of the gaming community, right? Like, is there anything else that came close within recent memory to
recently? No,
competing, quote unquote.
The ColecoVision.
Isn't there supposedly like Atari supposedly making a system too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's not even how powerful is that thing?
It's better. Not. It's. I think it's just a little bit more powerful on the Switch, but it's not meant to run like. It's meant to run like Atari games or something like that. Something.
What the hell is that? Come on, really? Jesus.
No, that's not going to work. Like, and I think I heard a while back that they were actually lying about it running games and specs. Like, there was some controversy there, and they're not really being fully.
Yeah, there's some shady stuff going on there. Yeah. With the what do you call that? With what people the open thing where you pay them money. What is that called?
There's a couple.
Patreon, with their Patreon or whatever, they were making promises
or GoFundMe or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It'd be I don't know what would Google do. What would I guess? I know Ray. I know you want to end this soon, but like just let me ask a question to you guys. What would Google have to do to actually be competitive with Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony? And when I say competitive, I mean something that's selling at least 20 to 30 million units. Like, I mean something that's like that where Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo actually have to plan around around it in terms of what
make an amazing game.
Just one.
Yep. Just like Xbox did with Halo. Make one amazing game that changes a lot. That's all you need. And that's what Microsoft
to do.
No, it is. Well, it was hard back then. And Microsoft did it. No one expected Microsoft to succeed. And then they came out with Halo and it just blew everybody away.
Well, let me make another argument though. So the argument I'm trying to make is just that like we've seen a lot of developers go under in the last 5-10 years because of HD development. It's a lot harder. And also we see a lot more sequels to series rather than new IPs nowadays because it's just way harder to create a full-on HD big scope game without knowledge of how the audience will be received. If there's already a fan base, it's a lot easier to go in on that. So Google, if I imagine where they would create a new IP that's competitive with HD development, where they don't even have a history of really doing that, to me, that seems like a much bigger task than with Microsoft, because Microsoft was already working with games, right? They worked with Sega beforehand. Microsoft was already publishing games, just not with a home console. Like they had experience, and they were able to make a good deal with Bungie. Maybe Google would have to like pick up a very reliable developer, and just give them all the resources in the world. Like, what
if anybody could do it, it is Google. That's the thing. Like nobody expected Halo to be as big as it is. No one expected PUBG to be as big as it is, or Fortnite, or Minecraft. No one is looking for these games, right before they hit the market and they blow up and they become super popular and super, But if they have the money to do it, they can do it.
And what would it
has a lot of money?
What would it be that would just catch fire, right? Because sometimes you don't really know what's going to catch fire either. So you don't know. So I feel like it's a shot in the dark, maybe. But I agree.
But if you throw enough money at problems, sometimes they will just work out.
Maybe Google should publish a Final Fantasy VII remake then, because Square Enix is not getting the job done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But man, this has been a long discussion. We went over.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
No, man, that's cool. That's cool, man. That's cool. But anyways, so what do you just to close up the podcast? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Just your final thoughts on this discussion, Andres. What is it? Do you think that we're gonna see a PlayStation Switch, PlayStation Swap, however they want to call them? What is your stance on that? Do you think?
I think based off our discussion and debate, I think Coloco brings up some really good points, and it would be stupid of me to assume that a hybrid is not in the cards, right? I'm not sure it will happen, but if it does happen, it wouldn't shock me, right? So basically, I don't know. It may sound like a cop-out answer. I don't know what's going to happen. I think, I could see Sony going for, kind of expanding upon what they're doing now, right? Continuing the VR route, make a better, more traditional system that's 4K 60 FPS. Maybe they do my idea and have a second system to basic Switch rip, or maybe they just focus on a Switch rip and have a hybrid system. I think all of those are in the cards. I don't know how they'll handle it, but I think all of those are in the cards.
Yeah. Coloco, what are your final thoughts, man?
I think if Sony does come out with the hybrid, and I think for the most part, obviously these are billion-dollar companies, and they make decisions based on stuff that we would never even imagine. They have statistics, they have people, analysts looking at things that we cannot even imagine what they're looking at. And that's what a lot of people have to understand. What we're doing here is just guessing as fans. We really have absolutely no idea what we're talking about. None of us. But, for the most part, I think it's my belief that if PlayStation comes out with a hybrid device, then Nintendo should come out with a Pro. If they don't, then Nintendo should just wait it out and just have the same Switch for 10 years. They can do it with their IPs. They can just push through until the next iteration comes out. I think that's the way it should happen.
How do you feel about a 4K dock?
That would be cool.
like as opposed to a Switch Pro. If
Let's talk about it. So, what do you think? No, I'm just kidding.
I was ready too.
I'm sure Andres was ready to tackle that topic right there. Now, my final thoughts on the whole situation. I mean, I stand by what I said. I do think that if they do come out with I'm not ruling out the possibility of a PlayStation swap or a PlayStation 5 Switch or however they want to call it. Not really closing that possibility, but if they do come out with that, I don't think they're going to do as well as some people may think. They're going to get away from that powerful market that they have penetrated, and all those Sony fans that really are more than likely expecting another console with more power, and they're leaving Microsoft a wide open space for them to penetrate that market. So I don't know. It's all a matter of seeing what happens, and we'll go from there. We don't necessarily agree, with each other. I mean, I agree more with Andres, but you know what I mean. we don't all agree on these statements, but that's what it's all about. We are, at the end of the day, we're all nerds. We like gaming, and that's what's more important. We ran for way too long. Coloco is on call, so we need to finish this off because maybe he has something else that he has to do related with his job. And I have to go as well. So thank you very much, guys. Those of you who came to the podcast, for those of you who missed it out, hey, just go ahead and check the replay. Also, we're giving a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate giveaway between me and Mr. Cabana Nerd over here. So if you subscribe to one of us, tune in to December 4th on his podcast, and we're going to give away one free copy of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know what
both you guys. Oh, I already am. Oh man, I gotta follow Clyde Gaming because a free Smash would be great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was so hilarious.
We're only 10 days away.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
I can only smell Smash.
I got 3 days off of work for that game, dude.
Oh man.
You can clock 100 hours in 3 days. I did it when a Brawl came out. I did it.
Wait, 100 hours in 3 days?
It's possible.
You have a time machine?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
24 times 3 is definitely is under 100. Yeah, I agree with that. But when Smash Brothers, they count the hours for every player playing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So if you're playing with 4 people.
Wait, is that true?
In Brawl, it was at least. It wasn't Brawl. Yeah. And we got you played over 100 hours on this game on the Sunday of that weekend. Brawl came out on a Friday. Yeah.
Wait, let's talk about it. Ray, what do you think? No, I'm just kidding.
You guys are doing it for me. I swear.
It's not on purpose. I just can't stop talking.
No, man, but that's cool though. That's cool. Maybe we should like the 3 of us come more often,
The 3 amigos.
Down for that.
It could be like the official panel, But yeah, but anyways, guys, thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in. You all have a blessed one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.